Johns.
Hello, everybody. My name is Jason Piercey, and this is Out of the Fog. So, tonight I've got a conversation with one of my, I will say, top 3 or 5 people that I ever get to speak to at Out of the Fog. And the first bit of live television I ever did was when this gentleman became His Worship Mayor of the City of St. John's. So right after this break, we will be back with Mayor Danny Breen. Welcome back to Out of the Fog. As promised, the one and only, His Worship, Mayor Danny Breen. Mr. Breen, hello.
How are you doing?
I'm all right, man.
Good.
Always a pleasure to talk to you. Mm-hmm. You're always so sharply dressed. I don't know if the camera can see. Yeah, the camera can see your socks. Your socks match your tie. And of course your jelly bean roll pin.
Yeah.
Always looking sharp, Mayor Breen. Thanks for taking the time to come out. I know you only got a little bit of time because you got to get down to council.
Yeah, council meeting today. And,
like now in a little bit, right?
Yeah.
But I got a lot of stuff I want to talk about first, if that's all right with you.
That's good.
Because, I mean, theoretically, I'm a resident of St. John's. You work for me, right? Not just me, but like, okay. So. First things first, this is, so on the date that we're filming this,
yeah.
Kind of just before you came in today, there was a big announcement made for some construction that's going to happen down on Prince Philip Drive.
Yeah,
Let's talk about that.
So, with as you know, we're hosting the Canada Summer Games in 2025. And today we awarded the tender for the construction of the new track and field, turf soccer field and high-performance sports building to be built on the in front of the Aqua Arena, between the Aqua Arena and CBC on Memorial University campus. So we're very excited. It's our legacy project for the 2025 games. It includes, as I said, a turf soccer field, lit facility, which is kind of in front of the Aqua Arena. And then on an angle going from there back to Prince of Wales Collegiate, you're going to have the track and in the infield a natural turf infield. With that is a building that has some spaces for working out, some offices, that type of thing, and also has a 50-meter warm-up track. So. For athletes when they're warming up, they'll be able to warm up inside if necessary.
So there's something you said there that I didn't realize was a thing, but now that I'm thinking of it, I'm like, of course, yeah. You said it was the legacy piece.
Yeah.
So is that a part of the process? If you're bidding, you have to, you create a thing then that becomes the legacy of you having hosted that year's games?
Yeah, so there's a number of things that come from hosting a Canada Games. First of all, it's the exposure, the nation-wide exposure, and then you also have the economic impact. It's about $100 million economic impact that comes from hosting Canada Summer Games.
Define economic impact, because that doesn't say plus or minus. It just says 100 million.
Yeah. So at the end of it, you're going to have about 4,000 athletes, coaches, visitors coming into the province. So the money that's spent from that, plus the money that's spent in putting off the games, generates those tourism dollars. So we expect an infusion of about $100 million. To put it in perspective, that's like holding 10 Briars in 2 weeks.
Wow.
It's a big event, and then another part of that then is the legacy, and you look at things that this will allow you to build. that will be left behind so that it will serve the public and young athletes into the future. The 77 games that we hosted gave us facilities like King George V, St. Pat's Ballpark, the Aqua Arena. All important parts of today's sports infrastructure. It's one thing we don't have in St. John's is a track and field complex, and this will provide that for future athletes to train.
So I didn't know that all of those facilities came from past summer games.
Yeah.
So that makes so much sense to me, because invariably people are going to say to me, Piercey, what do you think about this track and everything that they're building, its costs? What's the estimated budget on it?
So it's around $30 million.
Okay, so they're spending $30 million on this. Is it somewhere else the city of St. John's could put $30 million?
Yeah.
Like, yeah, sure, absolutely. But the Aqua Arena, King James, like all of these places, you're not spending $30 million on the summer games.
Yeah.
You're spending $30 million and investing into a long, long time.
Yeah, and just remember too that our share of that $30 million is $11.6 million. So we then partner with the federal and provincial governments to do that. When we have to do upgrades to the Caribou complex, so we'll be installing new lights there. So we account for that capital as we go along. Remembering that we've upgraded King George V, St. Pat's, the Lions Park, softball field. So we've maintained them over the years so we can use them with minor improvements, really, to those facilities for right now because we've upgraded them over the years. Provincial government is partnering with Tennis Association to replace the bubble over Greenbelt Tennis.
Oh, yeah, okay.
Right,
yeah.
so it's time. That was built for the 77 games. That bubble is past its life expectancy, so that needs to be replaced. So that's something else that can be done.
I'm willing to bet people don't know that that's where those things came from.
Yeah.
I'm willing to bet. Like, I'm sure many of you do, and perhaps our audience in particular, given our demographic, does. But I think there's probably people that don't know. I am curious, though, is there, because this will be a city facility,
Yep.
is there a tentative plan for what it becomes post 25 games?
Yeah, so the track and field facility the university will operate it. So it'll become the home to the Seahawks soccer teams.
Oh, nice.
They also have a track and field program that would take place there as well, and so we think it's great for future athlete development. It's a great facility for the public, and one that also allows the university to enhance its sports program. Some great soccer players in Newfoundland and Labrador, and giving them another field to play on like that is a great advantage. We also partner with other municipalities, so we'll be playing some of like soccer and baseball. Some of that will be played in Mount Pearl. There will be sailing out in Conception Bay, and soccer, I believe, and we'll be using some facilities in Paradise. So it's really the core of the games, though, will happen on the Memorial Campus.
Yeah. All right, so let's move on to another topic.
Yeah.
You mentioned tourism. We got some big cruise ships coming in, thousands and thousands of people, hopefully with more than $1 or $2 each.
Yeah.
So
I think we've got 35 cruise ships that are scheduled to come in this year. And as people come in, they come off the boat, they walk around downtown, go for tours around the city, go a little bit outside the city, and spend some money. Also, good marketing of the city, to be able for people to be able to go back and tell them, what they saw here, and people that come here love it. I mean, it's a place that people really enjoy. They enjoy the friendliness of the people and the architecture and the uniqueness of St. John's. That's an important part, but we also have a lot of events that happen here in the summer. You take the Iceberg Alley, starts up in June, then you have the Folk Festival, the Regatta, George Street Festival, the Buskers Festival, and of course the Pedestrian Mall. And this year, with the Pedestrian Mall, we're going to be opening a bit earlier. We're going to start opening now when school closes. And
Is that strategic? Is it when school closes because kids, or is it when school closes because weather? Or
yeah, well, we usually start on July 1st, but we've decided
another week,
to
really,
do this. It's another week. Kids are out of school. Everything's a little bit more relaxed once school is closed, so it's a good time to open up. So we're looking forward to it again. It's been a great success in since we did it first.
I've personally loved it.
2020. Yeah, everybody loves it. It has its challenges. I'm not going to tell you it's easy to do because it's complicated, but good things are complicated.
Anytime you highlight one particular, and I know the intention is not to highlight Water Street. It's not the intention to like signal out one particular part of our city and say that this deserves to be, worshipped. But anytime that you do something like that, there's going to be other people who are like, yeah, but what about us?
Yeah.
So there's undoubtedly, in the past, I know several years ago, there's been issues with people on Duckworth complaining that they didn't get the same thing and all of that sort of stuff. But I mean, the amount of intricacies that go into making those decisions at like, what area do we cut it off?
Yeah.
Because there is a space down Water, like between, when you get up by Prescott, like there's a space there where there's like nothing happening.
Yeah.
And then you get through it, and then you're like, you're all busy again.
Yeah.
So there is an awkwardness to it.
Yeah, and trying to be fair to everybody. Remembering too that you're in a pretty concentrated area that has many different business types. So what works for retail may not work for restaurants, and then you have law offices, you have banks,
Yes.
you have dentists, you have other providers that are in there, and not all of them share equally in the benefit from the
some
pedestrian.
it's more deterrent than anything else.
Absolutely.
Got nowhere to park when I goes to get my fillings, and I just wanted a pair of shoes. I didn't want to have to put my hiking boots on to go get them.
Yeah. So it's and again, if you've been down there when it's rained, it's a totally different place. So if you get the weather and everything is going really good, it's fantastic.
Yeah.
But overall, people love it. People love the opportunity to get out, to be able to walk around, enjoy the street, the challenges we deal with every year, and every year we try to address some problem that we might have encountered and make some changes. But I think overall, people love it. The public loves it. The more people downtown, the better it is for everybody.
Absolutely. And I mean, democracy is meant to be representative of the larger portion of whoever it is. That's what it is. And I think if you could survey randomly 1,000 people in and around the city of St. John's, the majority, the passing grade would be, obviously. Yeah. I like the pedestrian law.
Yeah. I would say that it's a hit. And it will always need a little bit of fine-tuning here and there.
Yeah, for sure. But that's okay.
Yeah.
Everything that is valuable, you always do that sort of thing. Kind of like this conversation. Valuable conversation, but I want to, there's a couple of things I think I want to try and sneak in here that Mayor Breen told me he didn't want to talk about. So I got to give him a heads up. So we're going to take a quick break while I prep him for all the bad stuff. And we'll be right back after this. And welcome back to Out of the Fog. I have your mayor, if you're a resident of the city of St. John's. And all right, Danny, if I can call you Danny, your worship. It's not bad enough that it's hard to find somewhere to park downtown. But every time I go down, you got another section of the street ripped to pieces, and I'm bottoming my car out. I'm not actually, because my car is high enough that it's not bottoming out. But why do you choose to rip up one of the busiest sections in the city of St. John's at this particular time? Like, how do you make, I know they got to be done, and I'm not giving you a hard time that they got to be done, because it's important. But how do you decide when to do different parts? Because there's no good time.
Yeah, no, there isn't. And when we started this a number of years ago, the idea was we were going to go in and just do it. And we talked to the businesses. We had a lot of feedback from them. We had a lot of discussions. And it was decided then to do it in phases and to try a different type of approach. So rather than replacing in some places, we would use this epoxy lining to reline some of the piping down there.
So is that faster?
Yeah,
it's
it's faster and it's less intrusive in a lot of cases. But there are places where it just couldn't work and it had to be replaced. So that there still needs to be a level of excavation done. So we started in, so then we said, well, when are we going to do it? So we agreed to stretch it out over, I think it was a 5-year period. And we would take a section by section. We would start in April and finish by July 1st. So it wasn't torn up for the summer. So rather than doing it, let's say, in 2 years or 2.5 years with everything shut down, we did it over a longer period of time with it just been shut down for those 3 or 4 months. And so since 2020, when we've been doing the work, our target has been to get the pavement down for the pedestrian mall to open in July 1st. And we've made our target each time.
And now you got a shorter timeline.
Right. So now what we're doing is we're going in on Waldegrave Street and doing the connection there. So those connections were left till they could be finished at last. That work too will be completed by the time the end of June rolls around, and we'll get some pavement down.
You've heard it
shortly
here.
After.
Oh, no, hold on now. Pavement by the beginning of July?
Not sure if the first layer will be down, I would say.
Okay, so first layer of pavement will be down on that intersection while the grave.
That's the plan.
No, you said it. You don't get to say that's
But we've
the
made
plan.
the plan every time.
Okay, all right. You gotta
have a good background.
Your plan. However, I also saw an article, it may have been VOCM, that we got a plan for this coming summer where we can rent electronic bikes and that there's some trails and stuff, and bicycle lanes is a separate conversation, but it's been talked about a lot by that subculture in and around our city. But I hear there's a project, another one, in a busy area that I feel undoubtedly somebody's going to complain about it, but I think it's a good thing. Yeah,
this one's so we have to do a lot of reconstructive work on Elizabeth Avenue from Allendale Road to Freshwater Road.
Now, when you say reconstructive work, you're referring to not just the pavement itself?
Yeah, there's some work underground to be done as well.
So like water and sewer lines and stuff?
Yeah, I don't know the extent of it, but
what do you mean? You're not a heavy civil engineer?
No, I'm not.
How'd you get this job?
Well, I got people that do that. So once we go in and do that, we're going to take in front of the university from Allendale Road to Peyton Street. And we're going to be putting in a multi-use trail on the inside, on the university side. And so that's designed for bikes, designed for wheelchairs, strollers, for people that want to use that to move around as well.
So is that set back from the sidewalk?
Set back.
So the sidewalk is still there?
I think the sidewalk is still there, and then this is in the back.
And then this, and I guess that's a wider sort of thing.
Yeah.
And that's when?
That's going to be done this summer. The trail will be put in. It's going to take 2 years to do the trail. So we'll be starting, I believe, at Allendale Road and working our way up. And then however far we get, we'll finish in the second year.
But you're going to get the university done before the summer games, I bet.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, and so one of the things with the way the venues are for the summer games, that trail becomes very important because you can move around campus and move around King George V and down to Greenbelt and those places. So we're putting in more of these multi-use trails. We're doing Canada Drive. There's another project that's been done.
Okay, so Canada Drive is a very long section of road. What part are we?
don't know, I can't remember to give you the exact streets,
Sure.
but there was a lot of consultation done on it last year. But that work is going to be completed. And as well, we still have the Kellysbrook Trail, which we're working on, that hopefully will get started this year. And that goes from Kingsbridge Road and hooks up with the trail that's on Columbus Drive.
That's a long.
It is.
That's a long spell,
The
yeah.
original plan was to look at using the existing Rennie's River Trail that goes down, say, from Portugal Cove Road
Yep.
down to Kingsbridge.
Yep.
Instead, I think we're going to come up onto Empire Avenue, come down into the valley by
Yep.
St. Pat's Ballpark, and
Yep.
then go out to.
That's sort of got a Bowring Park feel to it as you're describing it.
Yeah.
Like as you're driving down over the highway, you can look down in the valley,
Yeah.
you can see the trail work and everything. That's
Yeah,
nice.
so these trails are going to become. I mean, they're in every city. We've been behind, but we're making, with the help of the federal government and the provincial government, we've got some good financial partnerships to get some of this work done. So we're also doing some work on the trail that comes from Windsor Lake into the Paul Reynolds Community Centre.
Yep.
And so that work is going to be done as well. Because sometimes, even though these trails, they may look like they have a good grade to them,
Yeah.
for wheelchairs, etc., you need better
I
grading.
think, speaking of Paul Reynolds Centre, that's a relatively new building.
Yes.
Yeah. I think people sleep on that. I don't know, because it is sort of tucked away there up around Carrick Drive.
Yep.
I think people forget that it's there, but
Yeah.
that's my daughter's favorite place to go swimming, just so you know. So Paul Reynolds Centre is a great facility.
I was there for an event this morning, and the pool was full, the parking lot was full, and it is just, it's always got a great crowd there.
Right.
We'll have the Muse Centre open next year, the replacement to the
Yep.
existing Muse Centre, and that's going to be a tremendous building as well, along with the new accessible playground that we had installed in partnership with Canadian Tire there.
Yes, I've heard about that one. I think when the time comes, I'm going to say it right now, and I hope the director, I hope Perry's listening, when that accessible playground is open up, I want to go visit it.
Yeah.
And I want us to film something, I want us to do something, because I think that's something that as a culture and as a community, we should be better at understanding.
Yep.
But moving on, because I consider those all to be very, very positive, strong things. Both, short-term fiscally, there's obviously a downside to spending money, but long-term, it's a good thing. And in politics in general, I think most people get into politics wanting to do good, wanting to better things for everybody. But the longer you're in that position, the more it becomes about keeping your job, because it's such a long road to make something better that you have to make hard decisions, right? So the question I have for you now is like, what do people complain about the most? What's the thing that most people are like, ugh?
You know, I think that this time of year, garbage becomes a big complaint. Once
Really?
the snow melts, and all that garbage that gets moved around and the plows,
Oh,
and
it gets
that
uncovered.
gets buried and uncovered and comes up. Then you get a lot of
Dog poop, too.
Yeah, that's another one. And those are some of the complaints. Roads. I mean, this time of year, I think we've been pretty good so far. I haven't looked at the numbers, but I don't think we've had a really bad pothole season so far. I don't think we had that freeze and thaw through the year that
No,
we usually
we
have.
really never
It just
had-
got cold and stayed there.
Yeah, and like
Yeah.
from a real estate, a residential construction perspective, we never really got that deep freeze. Like we don't have to wait for a thaw. There was
Yeah.
no right. So yeah, that's interesting. I mean, the only big pothole I can think of is not the cities.
Yeah.
It's well, I guess it's provincial or maybe even federal, provincial. I guess just coming down from the CBS highway, trying to loop around to get
Yeah.
onto the Trans-Canada. There's one that'll swallow up your pickup if you're not.
Yeah. So one of the things I think from the municipal level of government is we have restrictions on us financially that are good restrictions. We have to have a balanced budget. We're also limited in the amount of our budget that we can use for debt servicing costs. So we have to be cognizant of the money that we are spending, making sure that we're spending it in appropriate manners and for the best possible projects. But we also, it makes us need to take advantage of partnerships, and partnerships become really important to us.
Can I ask for clarification
Sure.
on something before you? Because I think I know where you're going, but I want to be sure. Because I also have limits on how much of my revenue as a person I can put to debt, servicing debt. When you say that, do you mean just so that the city does a good job, or is there like a legal repercussion?
We have a bylaw that or a rule that we can't go past 18%.
Gotcha.
Right. So that's a good policy to have in place, but it makes you seek out those partnerships more. Makes you get cost-sharing programs and make the most effective use of it. I'll use the Muse Centre as an example. The federal government has a gas tax program.
Yes.
And they doubled it one year and the amount of money we got from the gas tax, we used to pay for the Muse Centre. So that money basically...
So everybody complaining about the cost of gas, well, I mean, indirectly or directly, whatever, that went straight into the city.
That went straight in. That amount went into us. Every municipality gets some, depending on population, depends how much you get. And so we've been able to use that to build the Muse and replace the Muse Centre. So that's the type of thing that you sit down, you look at your multi-year capital works projects that we cost share with the province. There's ISIP, with the one we use to build that track. Our cost is, we pay $11.6 million of the cost for that track.
But you retain
project.
the ownership of the $30 million.
Yes, but the operating it is a lot more difficult. Because that's where the cost
but
comes
you're going to pass that off to the university,
Right.
so that won't be your problem. Mayor Breen, thank you so much for coming out. It's always a pleasure to chat with you. Got to get you to your council meeting. Got to get you guys off to whatever comes on after this episode. So thank you very much for watching. Thank you very much, Mary Breen.
Thanks,
We'll
Jason.
be right back after this. Welcome back to Out of the Fog. So I enjoyed that episode. I enjoyed the conversation. Obviously, Mayor Breen got to get as much, political stuff in there as he can about how they're doing all these wonderful changes to the city, which, by the way, I support. I think they're good. And also put in there that they're not spending most of the money on it, which is also fantastic. And I also really like it. One of my favorite things about Mayor Breen is the first time I interviewed him versus the second time I interviewed him. The second time, he went back and corrected himself on something he was wrong about the first time. There's not very many times you get an old white guy to do that. Thank you for watching, and we'll see you next time.
This program is brought to you by Ignite TV. Now you're in command. Visit Rogers.com for more details.
If you have a comment about this program, we'd love to hear it. Email or call us, or send us your feedback through social media.
Summer days, summer nights, lots of things to do, places to go, and people to see. If you're having a few drinks, be sure to plan ahead and get home safely. We don't want to pick you up. Drinking drivers risk injuries to themselves and others.